Hello everybody and welcome back to another Pokemon Emerald playthrough. This week I will be using another one of the legendary dogs from Generation 2. Initially I was planning on using something else this week. In fact I recorded a whole other playthrough with Skarmory but accidentally deleted it like a dummy. Anyway, ignoring that frustrating incident, we can focus on today's video. The rules I will have to follow are: I can only use my starter in combat, I can't use consumables from my bag in battle, I can't raise my evasion in any way, and I can't use cheats or glitches. Since I was in a rush, today I went for a random name instead of a subscriber name. I hope you can forgive me for that. Suicune starts off with Bite and Leer, like Entei and Raikou, so the early game is kinda similar to the previous video. Not super fast, but quite easy. There will be a couple of very important differences later, but for now the only thing to note is the stat spread. Suicune is a lot more defensive than the other two dogs. This is not exactly great for solo play. Sure, you can use stall tactics, but those take forever and are not super reliable. After taking care of the first grunt in the forest and gaining another couple of levels, I learned Bubble Beam, which is an excellent move for this point in the game, especially because it allows me to take on Roxanne very underleveled and have a super easy time with her. I know her Geodude don't stand a chance, since they are doubly weak, but I was surprised by the amount of damage on her ace. In the end, it was even faster than what I was hoping for. After taking care of the rock gym, we have a few side quests to do until we are finally able to leave town. But before we can step away, May challenges us. This fight is optional, but since it could be a bit harder, I gladly took her offer. Welp, turns out I might have overestimated her team. Bite cuts through all of them with ease, so that's another easy win against our rival. Next, I tried to defeat Brawly. I'm not sure if this was a good idea. I am still underleveled, but with a decent move. Bubble Beam is special, so at least I don't have to worry about the bulk up defense, but this fight could have been bad if only he got one or two more crits. In the end, he gets outplayed by his own light screen, since it runs out in between my attacks, just at the right time to not trigger potions or berries. With two badges, we can reach the next town of Slateport, where we have to defeat some more grunts. With two badges, we can reach the town of Slateport, where we have to defeat some more grunts. As usual, they are not very threatening. Their Carvanas are resistant to both water and dark moves, but it does not matter much because of their extremely low defense. I also learned Rain Dance. Initially I thought it would be kinda useless, but as it turns out, it proved to be extremely useful in a couple of fights later on. Once we have taught these guys a lesson, their leader arrived to lecture us for a while, until we are free to go to take on the next fight. May 2 on the land bridge is always scary, especially when you are using something weak to grass. Grovyle can seriously mess you up with Absorb, but today was different. Suicune has a lot of special defense, which means that Absorb was not able to do much damage to me, and as a consequence, she would not heal a lot either. The next major fight is against Watson. His team can also be very scary for a water type since they have undodgeable electric moves, but here is where Rain Dance first shined. I used it when Electric was out, and for the next few turns my water moves will hurt a lot more. This was enough to one-shot Magneton and almost do the same to Manectric. I heal off the paralysis with a berry and finish it off the next turn for a very simple electric gym. Now that we can use Rock Smash, we have to travel a bit until we reach Meteorfall Caves, where we see the two teams arguing. This leads us to reach the volcano, where Maxi is waiting for us. The fight against him is nothing impressive. We are a special attacker, sort of, so his Mightyena is pretty much useless. Zubat is too weak to do anything, and Camerapt gets flushed away by the double weakness to water, so in no time we stopped this guy too, and we can climb down the mountain to reach the next town over, where we have to fight another gym. This time it's the fire one headed by the hothead Flannery, who is not going to have a good day. I just spammed Bubble Beam and her team went down faster than you can say. Type effectiveness is king. With her gym badge in the bag too, we have to go back a bit until we arrive at one of the first towns to take on our dad in the 5th gym battle. Norman, it's not going to be as easy. Fortunately, at this point, Bubble Beam still does good damage, so I don't have to worry too much about his regular Pokémons. I used Rain Dance to increase my water damage, and with that, Bubble Beam is a one-shot on all of them except for Linoon. It takes a bit longer because of potions. Slacking is of course a lot harder to take down, and I have to summon the rain again as loafing around to help me do more damage. Ultimately it was not as hard as I thought, and we can walk away on our legs, one badge richer. We are also given the Surf HM, which is fantastic. It allows us to progress the story, but most importantly, it's a huge upgrade to our water damage. Next up, we have the Team Aqua admin in the Weather Institute, but like always, it's a case of the blink and you'll miss it, since she goes down in just 2 attacks. Not long after rescuing those guys, we have to take on May again. It's been a while since last time we met, and her team changed quite a bit. But unfortunately for her, I found an Ice Beam TM, which means that her starter is now useless. After destroying our rival's team, we can move on to the next gym. Flying types are not too dangerous this run, so with a mix of ice beams and surfs, I was able to defeat the gym with no major issues. The only slightly annoying Pokemon is Pelipper, since it leaves and confuses me. That's not great, but it spends all the turns protecting, so I can outlast the confusion and defeat the Pelican. From here, the rest of the team is a series of one-shots, so that is another badge down. Now that we have acquired the 6th badge, we can walk to the next town where we find May again. Maybe I should have left her alone instead of bullying her more, since I don't really need to go into the mall, but hey, it's content. Much like in our previous encounter, her team does not stand a chance. She did add a couple of new faces, but they are a one-shot too. Once we have defeated this rival for the last time in the video, I can proceed with the story, and after climbing the pet cemetery, I get the magma emblem that I can immediately use by flying back to the Team Magma base. As you can imagine, this place is filled with grunts, but eventually I am able to reach the depths of the cave, where I find Maxie using the blue orb to wake up the legendary Pokemon Groudon, who refuses to do its bidding and just leaves. Maxie is not too pleased about this and attacks us. The fight against him is not too difficult. His team does not handle water and ice moves very well, so we can defeat all of his Pokémon in no time. Next, for a change of pace, it's the Team Aqua base, where we find another admin, but just like the previous one, he is nothing to worry about, and we knock some sense into him very easily. What comes next? It's the real challenge though. I have to face Tate and Liza, and I did it at a lower level than usual. This caused me to lose a couple of times, but instead of trying again and again, I leveled up and came back stronger. This was sort of not needed as it turns out, because this time it was a total slaughter. I have no idea what happened, but her team dropped like flies in just a couple of attacks. After only 3 turns, the opposing side of the field was empty and I got the 7th badge. Next we have another double fight, but this one is a bit slower and much longer. I probably could and should have used a turn to set up the rain to deal more damage, but I thought it was not needed, and I was worried about Swagger and other RNG moves from their teams. Instead, I just spammed Surf all the time, but because of the spread damage, it was not good enough to one-shot them, so in the end I was confused anyway. Confusion is a lot less scary with Suicune, since the damage is based on your attack and defense. I can't do all that much to myself. It was not pretty and definitely not very entertaining, but after a while all of their Pokémon were defeated and we can finally earn the Dive HM from the ex-champion. After teaching it to Meryl, I have to use it immediately to reach the seafloor cave, where Archie is about to use the other orb to summon Kyogre. This time we arrived early and can face the team leader to try to stop him. Archie's team is not very powerful either, and while it's slightly better against us than Maxie, he is defeated quite easily too. Unfortunately, even though we won, that did not stop the legendary resurrection, so now we have to go ask Rayquaza for help to stop the other 2 legendaries. While I do that, could you leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell, and maybe share the video? Any of that would be appreciated and would help a lot. Getting back to the gameplay, it's finally time to end the badge collection with the last gym. Juan is a bit scary because I don't have any great move against him. Fortunately, Suicune is able to learn the Calm Mind TM that we got from TNL. That's a great thing, because it means I can always try to set up to get through hard fights, and that's exactly what I did. After buffing my stats for a while against Whiscash, I can sweep the rest of his team with the Surf and the occasional Ice Beam. Once we have obtained all of the medals and we can use all of the HMs out of combat, we can enter the Victory Road, where we find an old face catching up to us. Wally is here for one last glorious fight, and unfortunately, because of a misclick, I end up poisoned and Gardevoir stalls me out, so that loss is totally on me. In the second attempt, I pay more attention, and so it's a lot easier. His team is not too well equipped to take on water and ice moves, so most of them are a one-shot if you use the right attack. Gardevoir is still annoying, but eventually Wally runs out of potions, and that's that. Time for the league. I used a couple of candies before entering to be at an evil level 70. Sidney is first, and he is not too hard. Sure, RNG moves can be annoying, but his team is not too tanky, especially if you are able to ignore the Intimidate or you are using special moves. So most of them don't even get the turn to try to do something. Kronaast is not very tanky and surprisingly leaves a couple of hits, but it's only able to slow down my progress, and once it is defeated, the rest of the team follows quickly after. Phoebe is next, and you know the deal, her lead is scary, everything else not so much. I used Calm Mind as she protects, and then was able to defeat her with one Surf. From here I just kept clicking over and over until all of her team was defeated. Surf has a good amount of PPs, so I did not even have to worry about running out. Next is Glacia, and she is an interesting fight. I had to spend quite a bit of time against her lead setting up Calm Minds, as it kept attacking me. Because of that, I teach the rest to Suicune to heal all the damage and status effects I would come up against. It took quite a few turns, but eventually I was able to reach +6 in both special attack and defense. I then went to sleep to remove the paralysis and recharge my HP. After Suicune was done with its nap, I went on the offensive and was surprised at how much damage I was doing. I know my special attack is now through the roof, but I did not think it would be enough to one-shot all the Pokémons on her team, especially the Walrein, considering the typing. Suicune tried to learn Hydro Pump to level up, but I refused since I don't need to use risky moves this time around. The last member of the Elite Four is Drake, and even though his team is very weak to ice, this was not the easiest of the 4 fights. His Pokémons can still do good damage, and I have to be careful about Rock Tomb, so I can't set up at the start. I used just one Calm Mind with Altaria because the next Pokémon can be annoying. Kingdra even leaves a +1 Ice Beam, but fortunately does not paralyze me with Body Slam. That is pretty much the only thing I was worried about, because now I can finish the sweep with some more Ice Beams against the big dragons, and in the end Drake was not that bad either. The long-awaited fight against the champion is finally here. Much like Juan and Glacia before him, I am not too well equipped to handle his team, so my only option is to set up a bunch. As usual, I tried to do the lower Wailord HP to reduce water spout damage, but then I realized two things. One, he is using double edge. 2. My Calm Mind raises special defense too, so since I don't have to worry about much, I started boosting in his face. It took a while and I had to rest once or twice, but eventually I was able to PP stall double edge, so now all the whale could do is a couple of HP points each attack. That must have been miserable for him. Anyway, after quite a few turns, I finally finished the setup, so I can now start taking names. The only thing I was worried about is Leech Seed, since I can't sleep that off, but Ludicolo was thankfully a one-shot with Ice Beam. Toxic and regular damage were much less of an issue since I can always rest. Turns out that at plus 6 not much can stand up to you, and the only thing that endured a hit was my Lotic, but I did way too much damage for him to stall me with recover, so a couple of attacks later, the champion title is mine. Suicune was quite fun to play with and took my mind off of the frustration of losing a video. And it definitely had a better time in this region than his fire brother. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell, and let me know in the comments if you have any video ideas or feedback. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye!